We're gonna go from a disgusting tick in the last video to an adorable chipmunk. This little chipmunk, it's gonna be a topwater 2-piece wake bait. So it's gonna have a lip that comes straight down, sits on the top of the water, wobbles and leaves a wake behind it. The body of this bait is 3.5 inches long. Along with the tail, it's gonna put it past 6 inches. So it's a decent sized bait. That's what I'll be cutting out on the bandsaw. So just for this bait, I went out and I got some a certain type of wood that I thought would work really well. I got some mahogany, and I made sure to get a piece that you could really see the grain in, because to me, I think if I carve this right, I think the grain will do a really good job of imitating the fur on this chipmunk. We'll see how that ends up working out. If nothing else, it'll just look really cool because it's made out of mahogany. So this is some 5-minute epoxy, and I'm making this bait out of these 2 pieces of mahogany. I have to glue them together because I didn't have a thick enough stock just to start as one piece. So I'll come back in an hour and I'll be able to cut that out. Now for the lip, I'm actually going to make it out of a piece of 1/8 inch thick Lexan polycarbonate. So I got to measure out the slot on this bait for that and cut it out right now. Since it's all blocked out and there's square sides to it right now, it'll be really easy to cut a square slot into this bait. So that'll be the lip slot. So that's the top profile for this chipmunk that I'm going to carve out. It might look a little weird with these notches right here, but that's just because I want to leave material for the arms and legs to come out a little bit from the body. I think that'll look cool in the water if the arms and legs are kind of splayed out a little bit. Carbs Customs. Look them up on Instagram. Dude made me a custom wood carving set with some different knives and a, what do you call this? An awl? Just a pointy steel rod. Honestly, I'm probably going to use this the most. I always need like a pointy thing to poke eye holes and pilot holes and everything. But thank you very much, Emilio. I am so much more used to this knife. I've been carving baits out with just this for over 5 years now. But I could see myself getting used to something like this. So that's kind of what I was going for by leaving the extra material. Kind of cut more off up here and it tapers down to here. I think that'll really make the leg stand out more. So that is the very blocked out shape of this chipmunk. Now I can move on to carving more chamfers, rounding off these edges and getting it into the actual shape that the chipmunk will be, and then just get more detailed from there.
Sing them hymns while the banjo plays.
I really like this knife. You can put both your thumbs on the back of it and push. You usually can't do that. If I needed both thumbs, I'd have to put one on the back of this really thin blade, and that would really dig into your thumb and hurt, but this one's comfortable. That's the rough carving, and so now I'm going to use low grit sandpaper and smooth out all of those rough spots. So that is the line that I'm going to follow when I cut the joint on this Chipmunk. It's going to have a curved joint going towards the back. I'm not sure if this kind of joint it actually catches more water and wobbles more or not, but I guess we'll see. I'm pretty sure if I didn't have that 1/8 inch thick bandsaw blade, I totally wouldn't have been able to cut that curve. It's pretty sharp. This will be cool though because the joint, it's like right at where the back legs are. I think that spot made the most sense to put a joint at. So I'm close to done carving this little Chipmunk. Just some very minor detailed things that I have to do now that I cut the joint, like soften all these edges, these sharp edges that the cut left. But I'll get that done and then it's to the lip. I gotta make a lip for this bait. So when I'm making lips, I usually just start out with a square piece like this. Then I take a pen and I mark the edges right here. Those two edges on each side. Those two reference points are pretty important because then you can just draw out your lip and make everything even from there. This is 300 grit and I'm just touching up the sides of the lips so they look nicer. That looks nice. Now I have to measure out and mark where I'm going to put some slots into this front piece because I'm going to use some beefy screw eyes and those are going to be what joins the back piece to the front piece. And they're going to go in the slots that I carve into the front piece, and then there's going to be a wire that pins them in. It's like a hinge joint. So I just got to mark the same distance from the top and the bottom, and that will be where the slots are going to be. And to make those slots, I'm going to use a Dremel with a burr bit, and I'm going to be careful because I'm freehanding all this and I want it to look clean. There's the slots. That's how the screw eyes will fit in. They get screwed into the back piece.
Oh boy, Chip. Oh boy.
So now all I gotta do is drill out the hole that the pin is gonna go in. And once the pin's in, that'll connect these two pieces. That should make a really nice knocking sound on the surface. Time to start on the eye. Congratulations, Carter. Just picked the winner of the giveaway I was doing in the last video for the 2 swim baits. I'll get a couple of these sent out to you really quick. So chipmunks, they got that little raised patch right there where their whiskers come out of. That's what I'm trying to carve out right now. Can probably add some little dots in there too. Okay, I think I'm just gonna sand all those features smooth that I carved out on the face, and I'm gonna call that good. So, these slots are gonna need to be sealed extra well, because when the bait's finished, I'm not gonna be able to put any clear coat in those slots, and it's important that water doesn't get into the wood grain right there. So what I'm gonna do is just fill them up with super glue, let that soak for a while, and then empty them out. So the next thing I got to do is drill out the lead hole. I'm just marking where that needs to go. This is a 1/2 inch bit, and it's going to go probably 3/8 inch deep. Just like that. I tend to put the weight pretty far forward when I make wake baits. It kind of immobilizes the front next to the lip and causes the rest of the body and the back to wobble. So now I just need to wait for the lead to heat up, and I'm going to pour it. While I'm waiting for the lead to heat up, I was thinking about it, and I think I'm going to actually do it. I'm going to seal this entire bait with super glue. I've heard of that being done before, but I've never tried it. So I'm actually going to try it for this bait, and we'll see how it works. This is just liquid super glue, nothing special. If this actually works good, that's really convenient because it dries instantly. Seems like that really worked. I'm gonna do the other half and let this dry for a little bit. Man, it's crazy, that super glue, it made it like hard as a rock. I think it worked really good. But yeah, it's time to pour the lead now. Don't want to breathe that stuff. Time to see how it floats. It floats. Sits upright. That'll work. You can kind of tell that in spots, the super glue, it left like a white residue in spots that you can't just wipe off with your hand. So I'm gonna go around with a polishing wheel and get rid of that. So now, I'm gonna fill that lead hole and install the lip. So I just scuffed up the lip a little bit. I'm gonna put some super glue on it and glue it in. The Chipmunk is all put together. Just installed the lip, just installed all of the hardware. It's ready for one more coat of polyurethane, and then we're gonna get it painted. There, we're all ready to paint. It's time to get this chipmunk looking more like a chipmunk. So I've noticed that there's pretty much two ways to paint these. We have this style of chipmunk where it's essentially just white lines going down the back and it's a little bit more red. And then we have this style of chipmunk where there's black and then white lines going down the back too. And it looks like the white lines are just on the sides and then there's just one black line going straight down the middle. And it's got like white around its eyes. Since this is way more detailed, I'm gonna do this one. I just gotta find a good picture. Yeah, I gotta make sure I get the face detail really well. That looks good. So this bait, it's gonna require very little paint. I'm gonna start out by just painting the spots that need to be white. So the next thing I gotta do is paint the black stripes on this chipmunk now. And I gotta be way more careful with the black than I was with the white right there. There'll be a little bit of black to put in the eye right here, just around the outside of the eye. And then I gotta be really careful and paint these black stripes on the outsides of the white stripes I just made, and then one down the middle. After the black, I'll probably come in with maybe some red and some darker browns than what the wood is. I definitely wanna keep those colors really light though, to make sure I leave some wood grain in here. But yeah, time to spray some black and be really careful. So that's the front and the back piece where I'm at right now. And I realized on these chipmunks on the top, there's quite a bit of gray in the fur up on the head and between the two white lines on the back. So I'm gonna add a little bit of gray and then I'm gonna start adding the color in here too a little bit. But other than that, this bait's really close to being done painted. Okay, the last step for this chipmunk will be to put the eyes on it. And I'm actually going to do the eyes in a different way this time. I'm going to mix up some 5-minute epoxy, and I have some black dye that I'm going to mix in with the 5-minute epoxy. And then I'm going to kind of glob it on into that eye hole that I cut. And hopefully it kind of rounds off and looks like an eyeball. Don't want it to spill over the edges, so I'm taking out the excess. Looks like that worked though. It's got a shiny eyeball now. Okay, time to get a clear coat on this bait, and that's the last thing I'm doing today. So that is the clear coated chipmunk. But in order to finish it, I need to go get some things. So I'm going to the craft store with Chelsea to see what we can find. This is the wrong aisle, Chelsea. I think that would work good. Oh, these are wrapped up.
Yeah, it's the same as the
It's
other
the same
one.
as that?
Yeah. Just,
Okay. Are those feathers?
Oh wait, they are. That would be perfect.
Alright, we'll get that.
Ow, it stabbed me.
The hook? Careful. Right there. There is the finished chipmunk. Let's go fish with it. Oh. Did you see that?
Yep.
We're at a small river now. Chelsea's with me. She's going to be fishing with the tick. I'm still going to have the chipmunk on. And hopefully this produces a little better than the pond. Oh, I got one. Woo!
In the gill?
No. Thanks. So we got a fish on that side of the river. We're actually just gonna go over to the other side, give that a shot too. Still looks like new.
Yeah. Adorable.
So we ended up just getting that one fish today, but we didn't get skunked, so. But man, I am glad I was able to get something on the chipmunk today. It would have sucked to not catch a fish today. What do you want? Huh? Chip chip, chip chip. Can you speak? On to the next bait.